Hello everyone and welcome back to another Review or Die podcast with me, RyzorGick and Toby.
Hello again.
Today we'll be doing something different. The last few episodes, if you like, we've been doing the Oscar nominations or things we would have picked. Today we're doing our top 10 picks of the last year. Aren't
Yes, so that's the February to February Oscar year. So we're discounting things like 12 Years a Slave and The Wolf of Wall Street because they were within the last batch of the Oscar season.
I'm just thinking whether some of mine then are actually
I don't think
older.
any of yours are, actually.
No?
No, I think yours are all good.
Mine are all good. Okay. If not, I'm sorry, but I like them.
He can't help it.
So we're both basically going to go for our number 10 choice, and then we'll work our way up to number 1.
Indeed.
Sound good?
Sounds
Do you
great.
want to start?
Why not? At number 10 for me is the Lego Movie.
Yay! This isn't in my list, actually.
Oh, it didn't make the cut.
Nope. But
Interesting.
it is a favourite.
It's really good. Again, we're keeping this one quite short, but basically, great little fun movie, beautifully subversive, fun for kids and adults. Everyone can enjoy it. Go and see it.
I did, and I loved it. Number 10 for me is X-Men Days of Future Past. Stars me into God, with my comic films. It's the continuing of the story set up in First Class, as well as the old story of the X-Men films that had the trilogy. It tries to do its best to put them all together into one universe, and it succeeds somewhat. It's got the wonderful Michael Fassbender, my favourite actor in it. So, if you like the X-Men films, this is one of the better ones, so go see it.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was an ambitious take on the narrative style of it is really clever. I thought I don't think wholly successful, but
No,
very, very
I
clever.
still prefer overall First Class.
I do as well. Yeah, but a good choice. Something a bit different. Doesn't feature on my list actually. Number 9 for me is the now Oscar-winning Birdman.
Such a great film.
An amazing film. For me, it's a little bit lower on my list than it is on your list because I don't feel that and I don't think everybody could enjoy it. I think you've got to have a deep-rooted love of either cinema or art or theatre to really go with it. And I feel that the indulgences of the ending bring it down ever so slightly, but it's an absolutely brilliantly crafted film and very, very enjoyable.
Okay, well, mine at number 9 is Under the Skin, which I notice is not on your list, actually.
It's not, but it did get under my skin.
It definitely did. One of the best, if not the best performance from Scarlett Johansson. So much going on in this film, so many different levels to it, to me anyway. If you like your sci-fi, if you like Scarlett Johansson, if you like films that are slightly bit weird, I suggest you see this film if you haven't already.
Very good shout there. Number 8 for me is Gone Girl, the Gillian Flynn novel turned into a big screen adaptation by David Fincher.
Oh, it was a novel.
Yes,
I did not know that.
Best-selling.
I'm now going to have to go and read that.
Yeah, really good. Exceptional film. Brilliant all round, really.
This is the film we can't say too much about.
Yeah, I was just going to say, oh yeah, she does this. But no, it's a thriller that's tense, beautifully crafted, and well paced as well. So full of intrigue, mystery, and it seems to be one that is spread via word of mouth, which is always a good thing to know that audiences are enjoying it as well. So that's my number 8.
Number 8 for me is the La Belle et la Bête, which is Beauty and the Beast, the French version with Vincent Cassel. A very dark version of the story, which I believe sticks close to its original story, far different from the Disney one. Got a lot of Cassel, and also the great differences between the versions. If you like the Disney one, please see this, because I'm pretty sure it's got some darker tones, but there is definitely enough for older children to enjoy. So maybe not the youngest of the young children, but it's definitely a sort of family film.
Great stuff. Number 7 for me is Begin Again. It's been getting a bit of a mixed.
Would you say this is your
reception.
controversial choice?
Slightly, I think for me the fact that I've put it above Birdman
Birdman.
and Gone Girl and the Lego Movie might, be controversial to some people, but I feel it's a very, very successful, very, very creative and clever take on the musical genre, from the director of Once, but it feels infinitely more mainstream, and it's got big stars. It's got Keira Knightley, Mark Ruffalo, Catherine Keener, and a whole host of musicians, including Adam Levine, actually from Maroon 5, and it documents both ambition in the arts. It documents, romance, and also the love of this city, all into one condensed little world, and it's absolutely, it's enjoyable. It's the most fun I've had in the cinema for a while. Like, the songs are catchy, the characters are lovable, the city feels alive, and it comes alive with the music that they create and the characters they meet along the way. There's a great scene at the start where you've got 3 different perspectives on it, and okay, it might be a little bit contrived, but it's also very, very different and very experimental. And for my money, the risks it takes pay off. So very, very good for me, and very, very enjoyable. I would highly recommend it, and even if some people wouldn't.
I'll have to give that one a go because I haven't seen it. Okay, so number 7 for me is Godzilla. This, I think, might be a controversial choice as well to some people. A lot of people don't like this film, and I can understand why. Personally, I'm a big fan of all the Gojira films, even the ones I'm talking about. The Japanese ones are people in costumes. You know what I'm trying to say here.
I've got that,
The
yeah.
kaiju films, I love them. And one of the biggest things people don't like this film is that how much of the film Godzilla's not in it.
I was one of those people.
Have you ever watched the original black and white Gojira?
I don't know. I haven't.
Because there's a very similar pacing to that film. It's very human story with a bit of a giant lizard in it. And the reason I do like this film as much as I do is because Godzilla is once again on the side of the humans fighting other monsters, and that's what I like to see. Godzilla basically firing his atomic breath at another monster's face. That's why it's at number 7.
But you don't see him for very long. He's outshone in his own movie.
I want to be teased until I see Godzilla.
But for me, the one great human character is
I know you're going to say the one at the beginning that
Bryan Cranston. Yeah.
I don't care if I'm spoiling this for people. He dies.
Oh dear. Yeah, but then you've
It's
not
right
got,
at the beginning.
You haven't got enough to go on. Aaron Taylor Johnson is not quite as he's not convincing
He's
or
better
good
than
enough.
the wife character who does.
She's very poorly underwritten.
She's underwritten. There's no point for her to be there. And that kid that keeps appearing is just too much for me.
Full of propaganda. I hated it. Anyway.
Anyway.
So yeah, go and watch Begin again, mate. Number 6 for me is The Theory of Everything, the Stephen Hawking and Jane Hawking love story, which is a little bit rose tinted and a little bit how shall we say, mellow, but it's a very, very good film. You're drawn in with their love and their romance straight away, and they get the emotive connectivity pretty much spot on from the word go. So very enjoyable and full of excellent performances, most notably Eddie Redmayne as Stephen Hawking, who literally physically transforms into the great man himself.
Number 6 for me is The Hobbit: Battle of Five Armies. What can I say? If you haven't already seen this film or any of the Hobbit films, well, not much I can say to really convince you to go and see them, I don't think. But now that the whole trilogy is out, and I'm sure the DVD release of this final installment should be out fairly soon. If you like your fantasy films, give it a go, the whole trilogy. If you like Lord of the Rings, definitely give it a go. It's a bit more child-friendly, this trilogy, I would say. There's a lot more, because obviously the book was, so there's a lot more toned-down violence, but there is still obviously fighting. And of course you get Gollum to come back, so who needs more Gollum?
On to a winner. Number 5 for me is Studio Ghibli's masterpiece, Studio Ghibli's
Which I still haven't seen.
absolute masterwork that is The Wind Rises. On another normal year, this would probably win the race for my number one spot, but because 2014 has been such an exceptional year, it comes in at number 5. Documents the story of a aviation enthusiast and then later aviation engineer, and has the right blend of fantasy and reality to keep all audiences hooked. And the animation is absolutely gorgeous. Go and see it.
Number 5 for me is Gone Girl. We've already had the explanation from Toby, so I'd just like to add that for me it's higher in my list just because I have watched it, I think, about 4 times now.
Wow.
And I'm still not sick of it. So, despite the twists we don't want to ruin or the plot at all, it's kept me going despite already knowing it. That's all I can really
4
add.
times, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
More times than Godzilla.
Number 4 for me is Leviathan, the Russian epic.
Not Godzilla's arch enemy.
No, no. Although I wish he was. He'd be infinitely better. The story basically documents a man trying to fight a legal case to keep his home, which is about to be bought by the corrupt Russian mayor of this small town in the outskirts of northern Russia. The film is brave and courageous. The landscape is harsh, and the whole film is embodied with depth, beauty, but also heartbreak at the moral conflicts that surround every character involved. And for me, it is a staggering piece of cinema.
I need to see that film.
You do, for sure.
Number 4 for me, I believe, is the only horror film on either of our lists.
It is.
It is The Quiet Ones. This film had a very, very brief run of its trailer on TV, I believe, and it was very briefly in cinemas. And I, being perfectly honest, I watched this back to back with As Above, So Below, expecting them both to be fairly naff horror films. What I got was both films were actually turned out to be very good. The Quiet Ones is not necessarily the scariest film, no, it's definitely not the scariest film I've ever seen, but it definitely got to me in a sort of subtle level. The plot basically is that a professor at a university wants to prove his belief that possession is nothing more than a mental illness. So he's got himself a subject, he's got some people to help him record his progress of trying to prove it, and there's also, of course, this thing that's based on a true story, which, take with a pinch of salt. It's definitely worth a watch, if not, but don't expect to be scared to death.
I remember seeing the trailer for that and As Above, So Below, and
As Above, So Below is sort of like if you took the setting of an adventure from like Tomb Raider or The Mummy and then stuck it in a horror genre.
Interesting.
It's strange but if you saw it, you'd understand. But I recommend both of them, but the Quiet Ones, which I'm not sure why it's called The Quiet Ones. Also, the actress actually from The Quiet Ones, who's the possessed girl, I think she should have maybe got a nomination for Best Actress.
I'll have to check both out for sure. And number 3 is, for me, is Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's space epic in which Matthew McConaughey inherits a mission to go and find a new planet for mankind to survive on. And you're shaking your head.
That's because you put it above Birdman, if nothing else.
But it's exceptional.
It's not exceptional.
There are, yeah, okay, I know there are people who picked out the flaws with the plot and, you know, the fact that, you know, it might
At
be
least
a
you
bit
admit
too
there
long.
are flaws in the plot.
Well, I mean, I don't think there are overly. I mean, the last act does go into silly mode, but you're already hooked by then. And I like a second time round particularly, I was like, emotionally, I was like, yeah, this is harsh. This is difficult to watch. And I know people have said Matthew McConaughey is insufferable and self-righteous in it, but I thought he was very, very commanding.
It didn't feel that, to be honest. There's just that the film felt empty to me. I mean, you say you felt connected to it. I didn't at all. I just didn't.
It's like a love story in space, though. The whole thing evolves around the heart, and I think that's beautiful, that the way that Christopher Nolan renders that. And you've got this whole this whole subplot of Anne Hathaway trying to explore another planet, and do they want to follow her heart, or do we follow Matthew McConaughey's heart? And he's trying to be drawn back home, and what will they do? Brilliant.
See, those points you just brought up there remind me of another film which I did like more than Instead called Love. It's basically that
Okay.
in space, but it's also the film that the band Angel and Airwaves wrote their album for. It's sort of their concept of their album. There's a film called Love. So
Right.
check that out and see what you think of
Maybe
that.
there's some relation there, but yeah, Interstellar is absolutely phenomenal, and it's best when it is epic, loud. The Hans Zimmer's brilliant score is blazing
I will say
through
the
it.
score is good.
When that score is loud and when those organs are playing, my word, it is a hell of a spectacle, and it's a hell of a ride. Go and check it out if you haven't seen it already.
Or not, either way. Right, number 3 for me, which I'm sure you'll be glad to see on this list, Toby, is the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Very happy to see that here.
It's going to have to be. I mean, come on. Ralph Fiennes, oh my God. I've said that line, I think, in every episode of this podcast.
Every podcast we've had.
Basically, I don't know if I can summarise the plot. There's a hotel. Ralph Fiennes works at it. Stuff happens.
That's all
Go
you need
see
to know.
it.
Go and see
It's
it.
funny. It's just an enjoyable film. You're not going to require a lot of thinking. It's not going to require too much of your time. It's a very, very well made film. It's just lovely to look at as well. It sounds weird when it's a hotel, but the actual film is just lovely to look at. The way it's
The style is gorgeous.
The style. If you liked Moonrise Kingdom, you're going to love this. I'm sure about it.
But
And
definitely.
if you have seen Grand Budapest Hotel but not seen Moonrise Kingdom, see that as well.
Definitely. In my mind, check out all of Wes Anderson's back catalogue as a massive fan.
What else is there?
Oh, fantastic. Mr. Fox, Bottle
Was
Rocket.
that him?
Yeah,
See, I thought I'd hate that, and when I finally saw that, I was like,
it's brilliant. It's a little bit Americanised, but of course,
Well,
it has to be. But, brilliant.
yeah, anyway.
Right, number 2 for me is the British comedy Pride.
Which I've not seen.
It went a little bit under the radar.
I remember seeing, I think I saw a poster in London.
Yeah, big cast, Imelda Staunton, Bill Nye.
Well, of course, Bill Nye is
Are
British.
at the top, yeah. And it's brilliant. It tells the story of the miners' strike in Thatcherite Britain, and how there was a gay and lesbian and transgender, should be important to mention that, effort to prevent the miners' strike happening, and then the hostility that the miners showed towards the LGBT scene, and how they're both, minority groups coming together in a very unexpected, very harsh, very difficult circumstances, and it's full of heart, it's full of laughs, and it's just a brilliant film in terms of entertainment, and it kept me gripped and my heart swelled. It was just so endearing, so fun, and yeah, I'm was going to use a cliche like I'm proud to put Pride at number 2, but I won't go down that route.
Okay, you kind of did anyway.
I did, didn't
Well,
I?
at number 2, I'm proud to put Guardians of the Galaxy. Come on, I didn't put a Marvel film at the top at least. Give me some credit.
Oh, I was thinking going along with the proud Pride route, but Guardians of the Galaxy, great shout at number 2.
I think it's definitely the best Marvel film so far for me, without a doubt. Also, I think apart from Watchmen, which is my favourite comic book based film, it can stand as its own film as well as something bigger. If you don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy is basically about a team of misfits who decide to call themselves Guardians of the Galaxy. They have the task of basically stopping an evil villain. Well, what more do you need in a comic book film, really? And that's pretty much it. The rest of it is just them doing stuff because they're they don't really know what they're doing, and they just have to get to know each other. Obviously, this is going to be an origin story for the rest of the films. Obviously, it's the first one, but it's a great family film. Go see it.
Brilliant humour and brilliant soundtrack as well.
And sci-fi. Who doesn't like sci-fi?
Well, it can be divisive, but
Go away.
I'll go away after I've said my number 1, which is, as was on your list at number 3, the Grand Budapest Hotel, Wes Anderson's masterpiece, the pinnacle of his work thus far as a director. Definitely his most accomplished film, definitely his most well, accessible film for sure. The cast is everyone, the world and his wife, all people you could imagine from every walk of cinema seems to just pop up for about 5 minutes and get involved in the fun. Brilliant depiction of Gustav H from Ralph Fiennes in the lead role, and some just very, very stylish, very, very beautiful cinema that trumps everything else and wins the #1 prize for top film of 2014 for me. It's the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Good pick. Very good pick. Well, for me, #1 is Birdman, which you put at number 9.
Yeah, it's quite a way down, but I do. Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, I could
I think
justify
it's
that
that.
this is the whole comic book thing again for me, possibly. But I just another thing I do love about the film, which we don't think we mentioned before, is that the constant jazz music
Oh, that's great.
that builds as his mind does,
Yeah, that's great.
and occasionally it will change into another type of music when his mind goes into something else, and then he goes into the street and there's actually a guy just there playing the drums.
It's really clever when you just see him playing the
Yeah.
drums, isn't it?
Just occasionally this guy is just there. It's just a brilliant film. Definitely my favourite for the year, as you've already described it. But Michael Keaton, you're back in costume. That's all I care about.
Yeah, lots of depth in it as
But
well.
also Edward Norton.
Oh, Edward Norton is phenomenal in it.
If I don't know, I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't replace Michael Keaton, but I'm not sure if you could definitely couldn't replace Edward Norton in that film. Michael Keaton's obviously perfect.
He embodies everything
Edward
about
Norton,
that supporting
exactly.
role so well.
They're
and beyond.
both just as perfect for their roles. Well,
100% agreed.
that is our top 10 lists.
Excellent, yeah.
Let us know what yours are. Let
some
us
great
know whether
films
you
there.
think we're wrong in any regard, although we don't really care because it's our own top 10.
Your opinion is just as valid though, so yeah, let us know, and we'll be sure to hit you up with some feedback.
Of course. So until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. We'll speak to you again soon.
Ta-ta.